po, how are you?
Good, good.
Is this still a good time po?
Ano po?
Is this still a good time po?
Oh, yes, yes. I was thinking, is this something that I could just put on my ear or kailangan ng video?
We don't even have to see you po if you don't want po. We can just
Okay, please.
Okay po.
Thank you.
No
Yeah.
problem po.
Pero naka-speakerphone siya, no?
Opo.
Let me see if I could adjust na, ano. Okay, so
Okay po.
you know something. I was looking at Facebook earlier, and I saw that the former director na kapatid just posted the 30th anniversary in the West sa kanyang account.
Oh, really po?
So I was trying to save it. Yeah, just now. I was trying to save it, and only a few pictures and a video of the introduction of the
Oh,
play. I guess he has a copy of it because he used to have the DVD copy of the program.
opo. I think we found the special that was done po, and then we actually had a few of the cast members here yesterday, and Brother Gentry said he has the full one.
Yeah, Brother Gentry Kubi.
Opo.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Opo. They were all here po, and they got to talk a bit about the experience and everything. But there was one question that we're hoping you can answer po, because no one was able to figure it out.
Like what? I don't have all the answer.
Everybody wanted. We were trying to figure out why did Kabong, who's young, become grandpa? Like, how come a young brother was casted as grandpa? And no one could figure it out. Kabong was here, and he was like, I'm not sure. They just told me to try out.
Oh, the one that was casted as a grandpa was from Vallejo, I believe.
Apa.
Yeah. Well, just like what we were discussing, we had difficulty in
Oh, sorry po. I think it cut out po, withKaArnel. Hello po. Hello po, withKaArnel.
Now the signal is choppy.
Opo. Just for a few seconds po. Maybe if we do turn off the video, maybe the signal will be better.
Yes, please. Hold on.
Okay po.
Okay.
And then I'll hide. Okay po. That's not me po. That's Sister Jan.
Okay.
Okay
so
po.
How can I just? Okay. And I turned up my video too, right?
Apo.
Okay.
Okay po. Now it feels clearer now po. Hello po.
Yeah. What was the first question about the casting of the
grandpa po? Like, we wanted to know, how did we end up with a young brother to be grandpa instead of just finding an older brother to be grandpa?
Yeah, there's not much that went into rehearsal. I mean, and the audition. Just to share, I just have one memory of that grandpa character because we were on the first scene of the play. Cowboy Santos was close to Brother EVM. They were sitting on like a special area. And then there was a comment that was given by Brother EBM saying that the makeup of the brother is too old. It's like the brother was over maked up that it's like dead. So I have to run back to the back stage and ask them to revise the makeup a little bit, make it lighter. And then we had a comment from Cowboy that time saying that, oh, okay, that's better. It's not that the brother is from the grave. It's like he already came out of the grave. So
That was the actual day of the celebration po.
yeah, while it's playing, we adjusted the makeup of the brother.
Oh man.
It
Yeah,
was fun,
the pictures
but
po.
they were doing it. Yeah,
That's funny po. Yeah, we saw the makeup. He almost looked gray towards the beginning.
yeah.
We can't.
So yeah. So to answer that, we only had a few people that went into audition, and then what we even ended up with is that when we have audition for small children, we even casted the parents who brought the children because we don't have enough talent. But since they are um, very dedicated, they're willing to sacrifice to bring their children, might as well give them portions. Like there was a portion musical then that they were used as talents, like the Gregorios, Brother John Lally, you know, he's now one of the head deacon in Mountain View.
So they had no plans of being in it. They were there.
That's right. Yeah, and we were trying to analyze what happened then. Is that because the plan for the 30th anniversary musical play was quite ambitious during that time because what we are used to are having presentations numbers one after the other, and they haven't seen any musical presentation yet. The ones that preceded it was that inspired us was the one that was played in the Philippines, but I remember that one was the entire production was made by we hired a professional. I think it's Ryan Kayabyab was contacted by Brother Bien, and so the musical play was very good. So many have doubts on if we could make it, but with God's help, we were guided to just push on to our dream of having a musical production.
I think po you mentioned po that you guys actually can we you guys actually started even later po, right? Can you take me through the timeline po when did the idea of doing a musical come about as compared to the 30th anniversary date, and the amount of time of preparation you guys actually had, like from audition to including the writing of the script and all of that stuff po.
Yeah. Um, just so you know, the our musical director, brother Ramon Encarnacion before, we were really good friends. When I was still in the Buklod president of the district, that was a 25th anniversary celebration where in Hawaii came over. We already conceptualized musical play, but that was probably not that early to produce. So it just happens to have presentations after presentations, and then I was fortunate to assist the district administration again, being the LOS district president. Then they uh, they they asked us to prepare a concept for approval from Central, and I was a member of the executive committee that was formed for the 30th anniversary celebration. We were inspired to produce a musical production because it was never done before in the West, but we witnessed the one that was made by Ryan Cayabyab in the Philippines. So we were also inspired by the possibility of the presence or the visit of our executive minister, then Brother Erdi, or even Brother Eduardo Manalo, who was deputy then. So during that time, the goals of the musical production was to present a historical event, musical, of the fulfillment of God's prophecy in the West, no? And that started in 1968. And then the expansion and then the growth outside the Philippines. That was the original concept. So the district administration provided us with like a guide or a vision or mission that was shared to all the production staff as well as all of the performers. And those are the ones I mentioned to you, the three items. And that was our guide in our production. The first one is to create a musical production that gives glory to God. That's the main thing. And the second one is the production should bring joy and happiness to the church administration. So that means we should make sure that all portions of the presentation are does not conflict with whatever doctrines, that's to make them happy. And then also it should bring joy and happiness to the members who will be witnessing the production. Now, another thing that we tried to incorporate there is that uh, so came to the idea that there should be a storyteller, which is the grandpa who is part of like the member who has the memory of the beginning, and then the grandchild who is very what do you call this want to know what happened in the past. So that's where the script uh, evolved. And I remember we made it three scenes because the first one is the pioneering, where it all began, and that was produced by Northern California. And the second scene was given to Southern California. We know that Southern California have a lot of talents because it's a big district, and most of them they have the reputation that being in Hollywood, they could form various dance production. So the second scene was given to them, which is the progress of the church and the building of the chapels, and then the third portion was given to the other district in the western part of United States, which is Pacific Northwest. So the scene that was given to them is, looking forward. That will be like the upcoming reward to be given to the members. So those are the three scenes. Now going back to um, where were we? Our project was really quite ambitious during that time because 20 years ago we have limited talent and most are not yet discovered. You know, they're probably around, but they don't want to be exposed during that time. So our challenges were, first of all, the timeline, because when we were able to present it to the district, it was already like February of the year. So we have a lot of, understandable resistance because for them, it's not enough time for production and also to try out something that we have not done before. But then our district minister, then Brother Zali Santos, gave us the opportunity to try and present. But our fallback will be the next number is. Can you hear me?
Apo, still here. You're doing great po.
Okay. And then what happened is that on our talent search, when we had the auditions, um, we have invited talents that we know, but like they have different reasons. But we believe that it's it's not yet that they believe the whole concept is going to work. So maybe that's why they didn't participate. They approached us after that, to congratulate the production, but and they are willing to be part of the next ones. But maybe it's because it's God's will, because that's the one that we always emphasize to all of the performers and the productions. Uh, when we were given the opportunity, we already started having devotional prayer, which is nightly, and we always advise them not to rely on our talents. We never mentioned to them that, we don't have any talents anyway, but, just to rely on our desire, our drive to uh, give glory to God. So those are the ones that we hang on. And then, so also along the way, there's a lot of different developments. So we were so fortunate to have like Sister Aleo did the script with the help of some of the ministers. And during that time, Brother Yuli Pukutan was the minister who was in charge of the production. And so my role was like a liaison between the ministers and the production group. And then we have the technical director who takes care of that, uh, the rehearsal. Now, when we conceptualized this project before, I was talking to some of the top group then before. I said, for it to for the concept to have like a good foundation, number one, there has to be a very good conceptual script. That everything starts with a script, and then the next one is there has to be somebody who will be a good uh, musical director or technical director and a musical arranger. And that was met by our friend who is like right now. Um, he's still claimed that he has faith, but he hasn't satisfied yet the requirements to be able to come back. But he's iglesia by heart according to him, but he needs to come back to the church. So anyway, so he was a very good musical arranger and director, and then he created a group of directors that was has undergone clinic also.
So all of
So
them, these directors, but basically there was nobody. Was there anybody on the crew or even on stage that had any experience with a musical or?
not so much, but I remember that the family of sister Irene, I forgot the name. Unfortunately, some of their siblings are no longer member. But Sister Irene, we still met her in the Philippines. But they have some experience, but not that much.
Apa.
None. I think only Brother Ramon has some experience of only like musical production with like if um, Filipino talents would come to America, and so, but not really like a production. No, that was God's blessing to us. It wasn't perfect, if we will watch even the video, um, it doesn't justify the actual performance that was made because there's that missing factor, which is God's help. When we presented, it's like everything was so magical. You know what I mean? Because it was through God's help. And also that's the one that we've been discussing with the production and the cast before, is that there's one thing that we have learned, and I'm trying to share it also with other groups who will try to produce um, programs for the church. You know, one thing that we should not try so hard is to match the talent of production outside, because there's no way that we could match that. That's one of the things that, it's good if we have talented brethren, but uh, having a perfect presentation to match what's the presentation outside is, it doesn't mean a whole lot to have it inside the church. The biggest difference between our performances is that it shows God's power, the Spirit. That's a thing that outside cannot duplicate, and that's what we believe, what I believe, and I keep on sharing. Don't just focus on the talent, but something that it has to meet those three objectives, that the performances, give glory to God, not just pure talent, but it has to be with those purpose. I mean, that's just me, and that's what I'm sharing to everybody.
I think last time, Paul, you mentioned that first rehearsal, that first combined rehearsal with Southern California. How did that go, Paul? And what did you? How did that go? And then what did you see in the performers after that, Paul?
Yeah, so it was really uh, that's one of the greatest uh, challenge experience that, you know uh, would would in the future help everybody, because um, maybe the difference between the north portion of the scene versus the south portion of the scene is that the Southern California um, could form different groups. Let's say, for example, they have 5 or 6 presentations. The locals could practice together because it's a dance number, the different dance number from China, Australia, the different countries, right? And they could always practice that way. The difference with the Northern California portion is that it's an original script and original compositions that the the product is not yet 100% complete, while the actors and the performers are practicing. Caramon and the crew who's doing the script are still working on it, like maybe less than 60%. So it's still being conceptualized because of the timing. It's not yet 100% ready. So that's why when we met in the middle, I believe it's maybe it's Delano, or there's another local there that we used. Now that place, first of all, or maybe Fresno, that place that was used was not really conducive. Nobody knows what we need, so the area wasn't the best for the joint practice. So during those presentation, of course, Casali, and I think it was brother Rod Bruno was there. So it's easier to present the different numbers from Southern California. And for Northern California, the background music has not been pre-recorded yet. So portion of it was only described by the directors of what's going to happen, what will be the script on this portion, and what's the tune, but it's not yet 100%. So what happened is that since the first portion is the first scene, it it shows really boring from the standpoint of the district minister. So Kasali called us into a meeting, and he was really challenging us. He said, the this portion, scene one, scene two is boring. Second portion is boring. The next one is boring. So we that portion we almost you know it was like a point of maybe we should consider doing something else. But no, the commitment was still there, and the concept that we have in our mind, and the you know the way we visualize it in our mind is something that kept us from from backing down. So we asked Kasali to give us one more chance, and then on the next uh, rehearsal between North and the South, uh, I was asked by Brother Boy to go and look for the place. So whatever recommendation that they have from the Central California, I personally went there and looked at the place. The place should have uh, proper ventilation, and the sound system could be um, properly set up and everything. So then we challenged the performers in Northern California that we should try to treat it with some sort of a friendly brotherly competition. Which one is a better performance, whether the Northern California or the Southern California? But we know that Southern California is it's like 75% ready, and then Northern California was not. So we even heard some negative um, negative comments from the performers, and I ended up talking to each one of them to make sure that nobody would report and keep them inspired. So they practiced hard, and so on the second set of uh, joint practice, the the portion that was done by Northern California was more entertaining and more spiritual because the scene one really has the story. So the script was almost complete. The presentations were almost tangible. That's good. It only needs polishing. So the second set of rehearsal that made Kasali and Brother Rod Bruno very happy.
How did what did it tell you po about the cast and crew members po, like seeing how much they work, how much harder they worked for that second rehearsal po? What did it tell you? You know, you had a cast full, some of them didn't mean to even audition. What did it tell you about their commitment to the project po?
That's something that just developed as as they learn about the complete way to produce it, and then we made some adjustments. What happened is the every scene are small scenes, like one portion is only about 6 to 8 minutes. So each scene developed individually, and as we reviewed how they do their presentations, uh, we could see that they are willing to adjust because they're not real actors that could demand to do what they want. They're open to comments and suggestions to improve their performances, and so they're submissive. That's one of the traits that we have seen in them, that they're willing to adjust because there's no personal glorification that they want. They just want to be part of the 30th anniversary. So every portion was monitored and improve. Brother Ramon did a very good job on going through each of the practices, and then we combined them at the last part. Uh, and we have seen that almost every night there was a time that almost every night, even though we were practicing in the local of Fremont, even there was a time that the neighbors complained about our noise, and the police would go would come in. We were still practicing, even trying to keep the volume down, but we were practicing every night.
How did how did the challenges po teach you guys to trust in God even more as the day of the performance and the celebration was coming closer? How did the the challenges kept coming up, but how did that teach you to trust in God even more po?
Yeah, that's the main thing. Whenever we had the devotional prayer, and those that were assigned to do the devotional prayer, we always express the humbleness that we acknowledge that we are not really that talented. We are not really relying on what we could do. It's only our desire that we are able to perform on the day for His glory. And all of those that were asked to do the prayer always include the three items that were given to us as a guide every night that is mentioned on the prayer, that we may be able to give glory to God, bring joy to the administration, and bring joy to the brethren who will be watching the show. So even on the very last rehearsal that we had, it was it's like it's very touching. God graced us with His presence on one of the last rehearsals that we did in Fremont. And so on our prayer, it was very spiritual. God was with us, and that's that propelled us to just do our best.
Um, Looking back now po, it's been 20 years po since that. How do you think that being part of the 30th and being part of the production and everything that went with it, but how do you think it has shaped or impacted who you are today in the way you perform your duties and in how you still are active in the district, but how has being part of the 30th impacted you both?
Well, even from then, something that I always remember is that we are so delighted and thankful to God, because during that time it's not like there was there was no fear that we have experienced in our heart about, or any doubts that the production will will not be completed, because we have put all our trust in God, and it's like it we believe that we were just fortunate to be one of the participants. It will happen maybe with somebody else. It's just that we were there at the right time, and God will make the wonder, you know, his his uh, his works be manifested in the program. So we always talk that what it proved to us is that really from nothing God created something, and that production was so memorable to us. And one of the reasons why it's so memorable is that it has the spiritual aspect of it more than just the show. I remember that, like what I mentioned to you yesterday, one of the idea that came out on the conceptualization is that um, there has to be like peaks and valleys, and you know enjoyment portion, like a strong presentation portion, and then at the end it should mellow down and become spiritual. That was given to us by God too, because it helps us that, um, one of the missing item in the production is that we understand that every time that there are presentations of the church, one of the ones that really touches the hearts of the brethren who are seeing the program is a performance by a child, a CWS, or a declamation. And so we try to incorporate that, like when we were about three-fourths of the way, it was added to the script. It got approval from the administration. So there was that portion that the declamation was added at the very end. And that would be the segue to the presentation of the video by Brother Felix Y. Manalo. Now that video has not been shown anywhere in any program, uh, in the whole and the entirety of the church, except for that one. That is the very first one. Although it's available for viewing even now at the museum. When you go to the museum where the portion of Brother Felix Y. Manalo's office is, so you listen to I believe it's a 17 minutes video that was shown to us, and we ask permission from the administration that that will be the final of our program before the prayer. So so by the time that the declamation of the two children, one was a relative of, a family of the Manalo, and the other one was forgot, Sister Grisel
Sister
from
Giselle,
huh?
Sister Giselle Cortez Ball.
Giselle Cortez. Because Sister Giselle Cortez was the champion of declamation during that time. So um, we asked that she be included as the one that declaims. So instead of just Sister Giselle, it was an interaction between the lead character child and then Sister Giselle was inserted at the end. And during that time, you would see that the audience would feel the spirituality from the children, and then from there, it is where that's the proper treatment that we decided on to be able to show Brother FYM video. That is very critical because we want, there was a time that I saw it again being presented, and I said that it should have been better if the video was treated very respectfully, like at the end, because it will give the proper impact, which it did. Because during that time when the video was shown in the arena, even American brethren who was just reading through the what do you call that, the subtitles,
Apo.
and even the brethren were all crying already. So the experience of the complete production will remain because they felt something. So on the final prayer, I think it was Brother Greg Warden who was asked to pray the last. It was very spiritual. So it's not like a program that when it ends, oh, okay, everybody's happy, let's go home. But then that one was with uh, I don't know if you know how to speak Tagalog, but we have a term for it even in the Philippines. There's like may kurot, there's a pinch in the heart so that you will not forget it. So that's what happened during that time.
No,
And so moving fast forward, I saw one of the items that you were asking. for me to react on is that we are so happy, delighted, and thankful to God to see that our children who are now given the opportunity to assist the administration also, this time for the 50th anniversary celebration. I believe even your parents are probably included in the 30th.
Oh no,
Kayuli, not yet.
we were far. We were from Limor, but
No? Yeah, but the Puis were there, right?
opo,
Yeah, Gentry and then I remember Kayuli was the assigned minister to supervise us then. I know that Kayuli's son, or was it son, or yeah, he's now, I think, part
opo, he's
of,
here. He's in TRG po.
yes. And then, Sister Chriselle Kahayag,
Opo,
the one who did the opening number, and the husband, I forgot the name of the husband,
Brother Rod.
Brother Rod. And now their daughter is very active in the programs, right?
Opo,
And then there's also Sister Claire, and there's another one. They're from Las Vegas. They
oh,
were the dancers before, and their child also is part of C3. So we could see that, it's a nice feeling. So that somehow, even after 20 years, the memories of the 30th anniversary is still alive and inspiring, other people. Um,
did
and then, yeah,
oh, no, go ahead po.
okay. So you know what it brought us is that we are firm, very firm in our resolve, that we acknowledge how fortunate we are. We are so fortunate to be recognized, as part of God's children in the West. We're thankful for giving us a church administration right now with Brother Eduardo P. Manalo. Um, he's really relentless, and we really appreciate how God is using him to continue to guide us so that we could, you know, achieve more excellence in the different uh, portion as well as this coming 50th. We believe that, um, it will, especially if we are going to have a visit from Ka Eduardo, it will once again be spiritual. The program shouldn't just be an entertainment. There should always be a spiritual effect also, even if it's just a program. And then, we pledge our complete obedience to God's law, commandments, full submission to the church administration, to Brother Eduardo Manalo. That's, it it uh, it makes us trying to complete, to complete our race, having all of these factors in our lives. It helps us every day in our life. It's a good memory.
Is po. I've actually sat in the meetings with a couple of meetings with Sister Nizel for when the early part of the stuff they were talking about for the 50th po, and um, so did growing up was she, I don't know if she was old enough for the to participate in the 30th, but did you share with her like the experiences of the 30th and what it was like to be part of a production like that?
No, see what happened is that um, she was one of the performer on, like, I think it's the 80th anniversary of the church. She was one of the declamation person. But during the time where we are preparing for the 30th, that coincides with us already moving to the Philippines to raise them up. So, but they were uh, we were we were planning on raising Nicelle and the other children in the Philippines. That's why she wasn't uh, fully involved on the production of the 30th, but they're always there to watch, and they whenever, especially when we first moved to the Philippines right after the 30th, we have a what do you call this, a CD of the 30th, and we played it every day in our car whenever we go anywhere, and they were so happy. They're part of the memories.
Oh, that's awesome, po. Carnel, I have nothing else to ask, po. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, po?
No, no. I would like to thank you for giving me a chance to
Oh no, thank
to
you, po.
recall all of these things. It's been a pleasure.
No, thank you,
And,
po. I'm gonna send you some pictures from last night, po. We had I think 10 of them with us last night here, and
uh-huh.
I think we had to cut them off, or else they would have kept on going because they were just talking about what it was like, but not only what it was like, but how even today it still impacts them, and how they all have kids, right, po? And Sister Tin,
Tintin.
Papa, she was
Oh yeah,
her daughter
13. She was
her
part
daughter
of
has
that.
been practicing with the orchestra, po, and she's like, I'm so jealous. Like it's such a great they're gonna be in for such a great experience.
That's right. Yeah. One of the soloists performer for the kids there was Brother Michael. Uh, what's his name?
Kilyopo,
Kilyopo. Yeah,
Papa,
I saw it again today. He was dancing. He was leading the dancers, and
Papa.
he's still very strong.
Oh yes, po.
And
He was with us as well, po, and
yeah,
he it's some now he's a dad, and he looking forward to share it with his son as well.
yeah, yeah. And just to let you know, just for me, when we went to the Philippines, I had another chance to be part of a production, um, and that was one of the last one boys choral competition that we did, and it was in time with the that big tsunami that happened in Thailand
Apa,
that year. Right after that, maybe like a few weeks after that, we were given a project to hold the what do you call this, the one boys choral competition in outside the church. So we used the Coneta Astrodome there. Our district minister, Brother Dan Rosa, it was a time that they invited all of the district ministers from the whole Philippines to attend because it was in time with their class. And Ka Eduardo asked them to attend that program, and it was also broadcasted in the radio. And we follow the same concept is that there should be we need to put something that is spiritual, not only just show. So during that time, we were able to get brethren from Thailand who went to the Philippines, and they're part of that tsunami experience. So we inserted something like that, and then the closing prayer, it was broadcast. So no, everybody's saying, "Oh, it's like a worship service."
I did not know that, po.
Yeah, it was like a worship service too. Adan Orosa was so happy, and that was my last project also before I went back here
Apa.
in the U.S. You know, it's something that we would like to share. It's better to always don't rely on talents, because if we just target on equaling great performances outside, it can never be compared. But if we will put the talent in, but then make sure that it comes out with spirituality on it, that's something that differs our presentation from outside, and that's something that they cannot copy. it's impossible for them to copy that, that spiritual blessing that is presented on programs.
Definitely po. Thanks so much,
Yes.
Ka-Arnel po. This
Okay,
is
well,
great
thank
po.
you too.
Do you have any picture of you from the 30th po? I think we found one. We found one of you and Sister Jamel, but I think that's the only one so far we've found po. So we've been trying to dig up photos po.
I think the only pictures we have is like with the executive committee, committee shown on the
Oh, and in the special, right po?
yeah, the special magazine or something.
Apo.
I think that's the only pictures we have.
Oh, okay po.
Sure, we're not performers. We're just in the background.
I know po. Yeah, it's I think even Ka Alia, we could only find one photo of her so far.
Yeah, yeah. We're so happy to be in the background.
But it was definitely an experience for everybody, even if you know if we were just watching. It's something we all still remember po.
Yes, yeah, that's right. It's a great experience. It's an experience to last a lifetime.
Yes po.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay po, thank you so much po. I'm
Thank
gonna
you,
keep you
then.
posted po, and when it's done, and then I'm gonna send it to you. And don't worry po, everything will have to be screened, and Kababa has to sign
Yes,
off
please.
on it and everything.
Yes, please.
Okay po. Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Arnel. Thank you po.
Thank you, then. Okay,
Okay
po.
po. Bye bye.